Today is about you. I know what it feels like to sit on a bench. I know what it feels like to get knocked down. I know what it feels like to have a hope and a dream. And nobody believes in it but a few people. But here's what I know. Hi, this is Walter Bond, and welcome to Peak Performance Life. Here we are, part 2 of our 2-part program called the off season. Remember, pro athletes have an off season. Why not you? It's the only way you can get bigger, stronger, and faster. It's the only way that you can create the life that you dreamt about. Let's do a quick review before we get into part 2. Part 1 was 4 steps. We talked about hope, assess, think, and schedule. Those were the first 4 parts. And now as we get into part 2, here's a fun step. Step 5 should be fun, which is celebrate. I know you want to get bigger. I know you want to get stronger. I know that you're pursuing excellence. But you know what? Let's take a little time to celebrate. There's something in your life that you can celebrate, and you celebrate in your own way. It could be just a glass of champagne. You might celebrate by going for a long jog or a long run. Do something that makes you happy. You can do it by yourself, or you can do it with your spouse. You can do it with your best friend. Maybe you can do it with your kids. Go buy a cake. I don't care. But do something that in your own little way that you celebrate what happened this past year. There is something that you can feel good about that's worthy of celebration. Now here's the good news. After you celebrate, it's time to take a deep look so we can get better. The one thing about the off season, there's different phases. There's 9 phases. And after celebration, it's going to get a little hot and sticky. It's going to get a little intense. So make sure you celebrate and have fun with your celebration, because after celebration is what I call detox. We live in a world that's very grinding, it's hardcore, it's fast charging, and a lot of times we get so filled and inundated with muck, people don't detox. And if you don't detox, your body can become overwhelmed and you can begin to have issues and not being happy because you have some toxins in you that you need to let go. And I'm talking about emotional toxins. A lot of times we live in a world and people say, suck it up, get tough. Play hurt. But you know what? Sometimes, even in athletes, we have a chance to detox. We have a chance to get away from competition for a quick moment and let our body heal up, let the season kind of play its way out as we get ready for the next year. And you need to do the same thing. What happened this past year that you're not happy about? What happened this past year that, kind of affected you? And you got to be able to detox. And sometimes you can't detox by yourself. Sometimes detox might require you to go and get some professional help where you can sit down and kind of rationalize and talk to someone and help you process what happened to you this past year. Because if you play hurt, eventually you're going to hurt other people, or you're going to hurt yourself further. So phase number 6 is all about detox. Now, as you detox, okay, phase 5, we celebrated. Phase 6, we detoxed. These last 3 phases can be tough. Phase number 7 is what I call brutal honesty. In other words, this is not about your spouse. This is not about your kids' weaknesses and their flaws. See, we have the ability to see other people's weaknesses so crystal clear, but at the same time, we're blind to our own weaknesses and shortcomings. So phase number 7 is a critical phase. It's called brutal honesty. I don't want you to be honest about anybody else but you. This is not about your boss. This is not about your employees. I want you to get in front of a mirror and just look at you and be brutally honest with you. I've done this before, and you should do it too, because it can become emotional. I want you to go in front of that mirror and talk about your weaknesses and talk about areas that you need to improve. It could be as simple as, you know what, I'm arrogant, I'm selfish, I'm self-centered. It could be, you know what, I have an anger problem. It could be as simple as, you know what, I drink too much, or I need to become a better parent. Let's be brutally honest with you, because you can't get that improvement, you can't get that breakthrough until you become brutally honest with you. My biggest breakthroughs have come on the heels of brutal honesty. I mean, I've looked in the mirror, to be honest, and I've been brutally honest with me, and it's led me to tears. It's caused me to be emotional, because being brutally honest with yourself can be very, very painful. But I want to encourage you, you're strong enough to get through it. Because after phase 7, the fun begins. And we get into phase 8, which is an action step. It's an action plan to come up with a strategy to improve whatever you're brutally honest about. So you might be a leader and say, you know what? I'm not a good leader. And so now we can take action steps once you become brutally honest, and you can start reading books, getting information on what are the characteristics of a good leader. How can I become a better leader? You might say to yourself, I'm a successful business person, but I'm a horrible husband and I'm an awful dad. That's tough to say, but if it's the truth, it is what it is. But then you can go get some information on how to become a better husband, how to become a better dad. You see, brutal honesty is painful, but the good thing, after the pain, can come breakthroughs. You might say to yourself, you know what? I'm not happy with my body, and it affects everything that I do. That brutal honesty is painful, but the good news, you can create action steps that can begin to attack these areas of your life that you struggle with. So phase number 8 is awesome because you can come up with action steps that can help you improve these areas that have afflicted you for years. Phase 9 is the most fun. You've gone through all the 8 phases. You've hoped, you've assessed, you've scheduled, you've thought, you've celebrated, you've had detox, we've had this painful, brutal come to Jesus moment. Now you got action steps on how you can improve these areas. So phase number 9 is attack. Phase number 9 is about starting a new year and becoming a brand new you, sensitive to your weaknesses, but you have action steps that can help you overcome your weaknesses and your own personal blind spots. I'm here to tell you, if you take an off season every single year, what would happen to the world around you? What would happen to your company if your company took an off season and you did this as a leadership team, or you did this as a department, or you did this just for you? It doesn't matter. An off season is for people who are very successful. They're for people who might be struggling. It doesn't matter where you are, because where you are right now is merely a point of reference. I still take off seasons. You still need to take off seasons. And together, let's promise ourselves one thing. We will never arrive. Every year, a pro's job is to get bigger, stronger, and faster. Our job is to get better, and the only way you can do it is an off season. Thank you for tuning in to Peak Performance Life. My name is Walter Bond, and my job is to help you, help me, help us think, execute, and dominate. When I hear the sound of that whistle, it takes me back in time when I learned how to become a peak performer. When I played college basketball, my coach would blow that whistle and he would call all my teammates in, and in this huddle, he would motivate us, he would inspire us, he would teach us, he would correct us, and the reality is this, he called my name more in that huddle than anybody else's name. Here's why. He saw tremendous potential in me that was trapped and buried, and he wouldn't let it die in me, and he brought it out until I became an NBA player. In that huddle, I learned how to develop and become a peak performer. I learned 2 things: that peak performance is a process, but most importantly, peak performance is a team sport. I would not have reached my potential without my coach investing time and energy into my development. So here's what we've done for you. We created what we call Peak Performance Huddle. In this huddle, we want to do the same exact thing. We want to motivate you. We want to inspire you. We want to teach you. We want to even make you laugh. But the bottom line, every ounce of potential on the inside of you, I'm coming to get it, and I'm not going to stop until we pull it out. In this huddle, we're going to have webinars. We're going to have success tools. We're going to have interviews with successful people. We're also going to do phone calls, live phone calls where you can hear my voice live, ask me questions, because in this huddle, the number one job, my number one job is to help you reach your potential. We have 2 choices. You can do the automated coaching program, which is very cost effective. It can be available to you 24/7, 365. Or another option, you can do a huddle that's one-on-one with me. That's right, me and you, one-on-one, and we're not going to stop until you reach your potential. Your job, your only job, is to make it to the huddle. If you make it to the huddle, we'll do the rest. Sign up and register and get to the huddle, and Walter Bond will be there waiting on you, and we're going to help you reach that potential that's inside of you.